What's up? How are you today? What is happening in your world? Hopefully your day is going good. Hopefully you're kicking the day off right with some Sparky Coach, bit of coffee, bit of Sparky Coach. Cha. All right, talking indicators to hire, right? I think hiring is foundationally important if you want to essentially run a good business, because if everything revolves around you, then everything revolves around you. So if everything revolves around you, it's very, very hard to have a holiday. It's very, very hard to go to the toilet. It's very, very hard to do anything because you're needed through, and then when you get, we've said this a lot, but you get those 2 clients that want you or 3 clients that want you on the same day, and you are cooked. And it's like you are not omnipresent yet. Maybe you will be one day, but you know, if you want to stay small, you do need an element of having some people around you. You might not want to get to 30, but you might want to get to 4 to 6, you know, something like that. And then that's just the nature of, like, if you looked at it from a top-down point of view, if you added 1 person to your team every year for 10 years, it's a team of 10. And I really don't think you would be hard-pressed calling that optimistic. You'd be probably calling that conservative, right? So, you know, what we're big about here in Sparky Coach is don't stress about hitting home runs in the next 3 to 6 months to 12 months. There's so much like hype out there with 200% growth and 400% of this, and you know, and saying this from like a full self-appointed numbers guy. Like, I love numbers. I've always loved numbers. We see these people come through our program, and as the revenue looks good and the profit looks cooked. So it's like, don't believe everything you see. There's plenty going on behind the scenes. I had a good chat with, this is probably like just a pretty raw moment. I had a chat with one of our members this week, and you know, sometimes as a coach, you can look at, I hate the coaching industry, by the way, like you should probably know that about me. I look at other coaching companies, I'm like, oh, you know, this and that, like, and then I was chatting to one of our members, long-term members, about it, and he was like, stuff that, man, like, don't worry about it, like, don't be insecure. You guys are creating something so special here. You're setting the foundations up for people, you know. And it's funny, a couple of years on in the coaching industry, you see people that take a different path that without the right foundations crash and burn. And that's not what we want for you. That's not what we want for our members. We want people to have those foundations set up properly, to not try and win the sprint, right? You're not trying to win the sprint to the end of the quarter. You're trying to win the race. You're trying to get to 50 that either sold an asset or still got an asset. You're looking 10 years in the future going like, we'll survive. I haven't survived, I've thrived. You know, I've enjoyed my time. I've still got a relationship with the people that I love. I have created some great tradies. You know, looking at some people that, there was this one guy we were dealing with, you'll definitely know, like, who didn't take on apprentices. And I was just like, they only took tradies, but then complained about there being a lack of tradies. And I was like, I don't know how you complain about that when you're not doing anything to help the problem. Like, I got started somewhere as a 19-year-old drop kick, probably, like, you know, and so you got to give people their chances. You can't have your cake and eat the icing and no one else has a cake, right? Like, it's not right. You want to be if you're an NRL person, you want to be the Penrith Panthers. Like, you're bringing up juniors, you're keeping some, you're losing some, you know, to whatever reason, but like, you are not going to be able to retain and keep everyone, but you want to have that good system that's bringing through good tradies. And if you are an established business of 5 to 10 right now, I'd be encouraging you to stack the bases. Make sure you've got a first year, second year, third year, fourth year. If you looked at it from a mathematical point of view, you'll be looking at, you're going to retain 2 or 3 out of 4, probably realistically, if you conservatively spread across Australia. So it's like, if you're going to lose someone, then at least someone in the next year is going to take their spot, right? So really big believer, stack the bases. And you watch some people sometimes start 2 first years or start 2 third years, and it can be dangerous because if they both finish at that same time, you might have 2, it's hard to deal with 2 or 3 really fresh tradies. It happened to us. Remember, we had a few people, like 3 people finish within the 6 to 9 month period. And you ended up, like, to be completely honest, hard to charge tradie rates for someone who wasn't acting like a tradie, or someone who was nowhere near the caliber or capability of the other tradie. Or if you are in a price book, hard to make money off people that are kind of capable. You want higher level capability. So this goes back to a different conversation of performance reviews and catch-ups, and making sure when someone does finish, they're feeling comfortable, they're feeling confident, they're feeling capable, they're feeling energized, they're feeling like they can have the communications on point. So, you know, you're not just building tradies, you're building people. And that's where the performance reviews come into it. I don't like the word performance reviews, to be honest. I like the word catch-up. But that's where that comes into it. But we are talking indicators to hire. So I'm a big believer that you're going to want an element or some stuff that's going to move through you. That's a very, very important foundational understanding. If I showed you on any calculator of ours the numbers you can move with staff, you'd be greatly impressed. But if you're just shouldering your operating expenses, hands solo, hands sellout style, you're going to have a hard mountain to climb ahead, right? Business is very, 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 very hard, or trade business, sparky business is very, very hard, if not impossible, to do by yourself. And the schedule is interesting. When you've got 12 to 20 people moving around the schedule, it's actually quite easy to schedule. But when you've got 1 to 2 people, you know, you've got a choice of Barry or Barry. There's no choice, because Barry's the only person that you can send to that job, and Barry's your best person, and Barry knows that client, but Barry's also on that job where that power's been shut down. So it's very, very hard or impossible to grow the business like that. But we are talking about indicators to hire. All right, here we go. So what are the common indicators to hire? And this is relevant across any size business. But let's just take the classic example, the old sole trader. The old like just one person or one man band or one woman band or one person band, whatever. What's going to happen is everyone has a comfort level of being booked out. And I'm going to say for everyone, that's 2 to 3 weeks. In other words, 2 to 3 weeks is probably the sweet spot. It's sweet enough that I've got work, I'm not worried about it, but it's not far enough away that I'm going to lose too many clients. So it's 2 to 3 weeks booked out, I'd say, is most people's comfort zone when you're by yourself. Now, what's going to happen here, and this is referenced, you know, I'm using the example of Ben, Benny, but you can apply Ben to any sort of size business. What's going to happen is Ben's comfort level is 2 weeks. When Ben's comfort level shrinks to 1 week, he's going to be stressed. And all his energy is going to be on finding work to get back to that 2 week comfort level, and then he's probably going to back off again because he's 2 weeks in front of achieved comfortability. And what's going to happen is people are going to operate in their comfort zone. And when it gets uncomfortable, that's when they go to work. So chances are, if you've ever been in that situation before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When the workload drops off and you're uncomfortable, guess what happens? You want to make yourself comfortable again, so you move hell and high water, you start cold calling randoms, you start ending up on a roundabout holding a cardboard sign like, will work for food. You know, you do desperate times call for desperate measures, and then chances are some stuff comes in from the organic hustle, lots of stuff comes in that was going to come in just organically anyway, and you end up with 2 weeks in advance again. You pull your pants up, drop your cardboard sign, and go back to work. And then the cycle repeats itself. What happens is, that's what happens when it drops south. It drops to 1 week instead of 2 weeks. What happens when it goes to 3 or 4 weeks booked out? What most people do is shut down. Remember that song? Shut down. Shut down. How good's that song? You should shut down on your head. I don't know who sung that. I'm thinking it's Australian Crawl, but I could be very, 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 very wrong. Doesn't matter. But what's going to happen is if you move to that 3 or 4 weeks booked out in advance, chances are you shut down and you stop getting back to people. No one can get a hold of you. You know, your wife can't get a hold of you. Your boyfriend can't get a hold of you. Your kids can't get a hold of you. No one's seen you for days. Just this disheveled rat crawling through roof spaces going like, give me the cables. Nom, 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 nom. Got to throw this in. And so you shut down. So what happens is, and that's definitely happened to you. I know you're laughing in the car wherever you are, because I know that's what happens. You get 3 to 4 weeks booked out, and you're like, holy crap, I'm going to take my foot off any pedal finding work. There's no marketing, there's no touching base with new people, there's no following up quotes, there's no following up new people. I met that person at the barbecue. They said to give me a call. No, CC no bueno. No call. I'm too busy. And what's happening is, and this happened to me, you might have heard this story before. I remember this builder asked me, oh, are you busy? And I thought, like, he wanted to hear yes. I was like, man, we're so busy. Like the busiest person that's ever lived. Like there's people think they're busy, but then there's me. Like I'm like busier than busy, the busiest bee of them all. And I remember him like, oh, cool, man. Because I thought that's what he wanted to hear. And then months later, it might have been a year later, I was like, why haven't you given us a chance yet? And he's like, oh, you just say you're always busy and I'm worried you don't have time for us. And I was like, I thought that's what you wanted to hear. It was like kind of that Step Brothers moment. Like, did we just become best friends? Like watching it going, oh my gosh, I thought that's what you wanted to hear. I thought busy was a sign of good. I thought busy was a sign of like capability and our business is excellent. But busyness to him was a sign like no, like that's we can't work with people that are too busy because they're not going to get back to us. They're going to delay our jobs. That delay in Ruffian is going to delay the gyprocker. That delay in gyprock is going to delay the painter. I'm going to miss the tiler's window to get that week in August, and the job is not going to be handed over in time. So it's like people don't want to work with busy, but chances are if you're uncomfortable in that too much work zone, you'll back off finding work. And I want to encourage you, in any uncomfortable, try and find the comfortable. What's going to happen as a person, you probably like being comfortable. You're probably not going to queue up to sit on an uncomfortable chair, right? You're going to sit on the comfortable chair with your beer, with your kombucha, with your coffee, watching the footy, watching something, or playing Monopoly or whatever you're doing. Whatever you're doing in your chair. I don't care what you're doing in your chair. It's your business, right? But it's like, so reference yourself. It's in the uncomfortable where you learn about yourself. We've got to be, as business owners, you've got to find comfort in the uncomfortable. So when the workload shrinks back, you've got to be like, okay, what was I doing 3 to 6 months ago? Chances are not enough. I should be doing more stuff, right? I'm going to do 1 to 2 things a day. But then when that workload pushes forward, you stop doing 1 to 2 things every day. You get out of trouble, get out of jail free card, you might say, Monopoly guys, and then you're back in jail. So it's like, but what I want to encourage you is, instead of, when you are that 3 to 4 week or that uncomfortable period booked out, this is when we have to start looking to hire. Being too busy for you is an indicator to hire. Doing 60 hours a week for you is an indicator to hire. The general rule of thumb is you should have 8 hours in the office. I know this is a perfect world. It doesn't happen like this in reality, but this is the mathematical formula for it. 8 hours is what you should be giving yourself if it's just you. You need 8 hours in the office. Invoicing, quoting, getting back to people on time, business development, making sure your price book's sorted out, job costing, all that kind of stuff. Whatever you need to do at that stage of business, doing that. Now, that's if you add a tradie in, you take another day back. So at 5 tradies, you're off the tools. That's pretty much the rules mathematically. That's what you can make mathematically work. So if you've got 2 tradies and you're doing 24 hours on the tools, that would essentially be relatively normal, right? But if you're doing 40 hours on the tools with those 2 tradies, to me, that's an indicator to hire. Someone else could be doing that 40, because when you're doing that 40 on-site, all your off-site stuff's just piling up into weekends, late nights, early mornings. You're missing birthdays, christenings. You're missing just stuff, right? You're missing life. You're missing sport. You're missing exercise. You're missing whatever it is you want to do. And chances are when it comes time to do the things you want to do, you're tired, you're frustrated, you're probably a little bit angrier than you would have been otherwise. But I want to encourage you, recognize that busyness. Ask yourself, why am I uncomfortable? I'm uncomfortable because I'm busy. Okay, I've got to find comfort in this because I need to hire. Because let's say, like, if you wanted to add an additional 2 tradie apprentice teams or 3 tradie apprentice teams in the next 12 to 18 months to 24 months, then you're going to need to double your workload, triple your workload, increase your workload by a certain amount of percentage. So your reference of busy right now needs to change. Busy isn't busy right now. You need to stop saying busy. You need to be busier to handle a bigger team, because busy is subjective to the team you have. In other words, if you're getting 100 hours worth of work through the business a week, and you've got 200 hours of mouths to feed, you're not busy. Like you're desperate. But the other way around, you're quite busy. So I want to encourage you, challenge your perception of busy, right? Where do you want to be? If you want 5 staff members in the next 12 months or whatever, 4 staff, 3 staff, 2 staff, doesn't really matter. That's an additional 80, 100, 160 hours. Okay, that's an additional that much work I need to push through every single week. Then that puts emphasis on me finding work. So when you're too busy, it's an indicator to hire. When you're doing overtime, big days, weekends, indicator to hire. Next one, when you are refusing jobs. In other words, now when I say refusing jobs, I'm not talking about refusing jobs because the client wasn't ideal, or I'm talking about refusing the right jobs. Like, we're not talking about refusing the wrong jobs. If you're refusing the right jobs or you're struggling to get back to people, I said this last week, you miss 100% of the quotes you don't send. You know what I mean? You miss 100% of the quotes you don't send. If you don't quote it, you can't win it. If you don't win it, and here's the thing, once you win that quote, you work for that client. If you do a good job, they tell 4 people. Now you've got access to those 4 people and all their friends and family and all their network, so to speak. So that's generally how it works. You do a good job for someone, and then the word of mouth spreads, the word of mouth monster spreads, and then they tell people, and then it's literally just this like pyramid scheme of excellent word of mouth activity just coming in to build your business for you. Word of mouth is someone building a business for you, talking you up. So you're refusing jobs. How else do you know you indicated to hire? Indicators to hire. You are not answering your phone. Whoa. Now, big believer that at some stage of business, that phone is going to need to be answered by someone else. Now, you've got to reference that to what, like your hardcore service and maintenance or your hardcore project. Obviously, in some of the larger companies that you need a project manager to handle those few clients. So, you know, it's easy for me to sit here and say, just give all your phone calls over. But in reality, that might be a little bit more difficult for some than others. But I want to encourage you, it is possible with clients across every realm, across every sector, that are pushing out of the day-to-day mundane operations. Fantastic position to be in. Indicators to hire, you are stressed. You are super stressed. I remember Elodie always gives me a hard time at this actually. I remember my, we moved into this Cronulla unit and I cracked a beer, like a Corona, no bottle opener. We just moved in and cracked it on like the balcony rail. I'm talking like really, really tired from work, and we cracked it, I sip it, look down, and the bottle top has cracked off with a bit of glass, right? So I drink, have this sip, look down, see the bottle cap, see no glass, and full hypochondriac. I've swallowed glass! I've swallowed glass! And I remember like going to hospital, had this pain in my chest, convinced I'd swallowed glass, and she was like, yeah, nah, there's no glass in there, you're just stressed. Long story short, then I see with my mate, I see the x-ray chick with my mate like a week later, mate Josh Doyle, and it's his girlfriend at the time. Right? And she's like, you that guy that came in? And I was like, si, no English. No. Anyway, so you are stressed. If you're really stressed all the time, it's not necessarily a normal thing, and it's not necessarily a good thing. You make really bad decisions when you're under a lot of stress all the time. Another indicator to hire is how much work comes in every single week. Now, why this might not be an exact science, because sometimes you might win a duplex or a unit block or a $1,000 something, but generally speaking, there will be a rhyme and a reason to what comes in. I know for us at that sort of 10 to 12 staff members, it was around a week of work a week just came in for a tradie apprentice team organically. So I knew that if I had tradie apprentice team on the schedule not booked, they would be booked. So there generally is a rhyme and a reason. While there's not an exact science, you generally know there is work coming in. This is interesting. I said this the other week, but there's finding work is great, but also keeping work is just as good. So if you're consistently paying for new clients, where's the old clients? Are they not happy? Did you overcharge them? Did you do a good job? Because it's one thing to keep getting clients through, but we want to retain our clients. A long-term client is better than short-term money. So please don't stitch anyone up. Here we go, indicators to hire. How far in advance are you? Small jobs or large jobs? So big believer, you got a short-term, mid-term, and long-term schedule. Short-term 0 to 2, 3, 4 weeks, mid-term 2 to 4 months, long-term 5+ months. I'm a massive believer you need to excel in those three to give yourself the most comfortable hiring process, right? When you're hiring your first person, it's okay at a month to just put someone else on, because that 1 month becomes 2 weeks. You can now get back to people and you're moving on and kicking goals like that. What you see sometimes is people trying. I remember someone I know was basing their business on this other company, and they're like, oh, my comfort level is 4 days booked in advance because that's what this other company does, and they've got 10 staff members. And I was just like, that's cooked philosophy. Like, I'm so sorry that you've been told that, but this other company has an unlimited budget coming from another source of income. They can throw at Google ads whenever they want to get the work in, right? That's no one's level of comfort is 4 days out for 10 staff. And it's a very, very, very rare and luxurious position to be in, to be able to throw whatever money you want at Google ads. This is just stress. That's a high level stress situation. So ask yourself the question, who can give you long-term work? How can you get short-term work, right? So it's like, how do you get the mid-term work? How do you get all this stuff? Work out who can give you repeat work and freaking go for it. And here's another indicator to hire. I didn't even write this down actually. If you're not trying to find new work, indicator to hire, because you hit your comfort level or you've hit your ceiling. So your ceiling needs to pow, get out of there. What are you currently walking past? Are you trying? This is a big question, because a lot of times you sit with people and they're 2 to 4 weeks booked out, and they're not trying. They're walking past broken switches, switchboards on fire, like things hanging out, and they're like, next job. So, what are you walking past? Here's the thing as well, indicators to hire. I literally just got off the phone with, I got off a Zoomie with someone, and his great friend is coming back to his hometown. And it's like, it's not quite the right time, but I've got a window of opportunity to hire, and this is the right person. I'm going to make it happen. So sometimes when the right person pops up, you got to grip it and rip it and just make it happen. And sometimes if you've got a large team and that right person comes up and you can't make it happen, you can have the conversation with them, obviously, to like, like, we're not ready now, but we will be ready soon. Or you can look at your team and be like, Billy hasn't been performing for a long time, and Billy might need to politely CC under the rug while Jimmy comes on top, kind of thing. So, look, you don't know, every situation is a little bit different, but they're the sort of indicators to hire. My encouragement to you is, here's the thing, you can miss your indicators to hire because you're busy, stressed, tired, overwhelmed. You can miss them, right? Once you miss it, you forego an organic opportunity to grow your business. In other words, if you miss those quotes, like I said, you miss 100% of those quotes, you don't get back. If you miss 4 of those, you miss those 4 jobs, yes. You also miss those people's 4 jobs. Don't forget, they're not jobs, they're people. They're jobs for people. You miss doing those jobs for those people, and guess who those people know? People. So you miss those 4 people that could chip you into another 4 people. Those next 4 people, 4 times 4 is 16, can chip you into another 4 people. That's 64. Those next 4 people chip you into, like the 64 people chip you into 4 people, and there's, what is that? 286 people. So you can kind of see the pyramid scheme grow, right? Crazy when you look at it like that. So sometimes missing those quotes, it's not just about that. It's like, that was an opportunity, right? That was meant to be. We just missed it because we were tired, stressed, disheveled, too busy, not focusing on the right thing. Super interesting. So my encouragement to you is, don't miss your opportunity to hire, and try and reference those points. Try and recognize, am I too busy? Am I too stressed? Am I saying no to things? Am I not chasing up things? Am I not getting back to things? Have I not ordered those materials from 3 Decembers ago when I said I'd get back there? Am I behind on my 6-month maintenance? Like, all that kind of stuff. Ask yourself those questions and grip it and rip it. Get your business functioning. Get your business happening. We're Sparky Coach. We'd love to help you. Reach out for a free strategy session if you want, and we'd love to catch up. So keep rocking. See you guys soon. Bye.